Hello and a very good evening, and welcome to this last class of environment, or probably the last class of environment for 2 weeks. I hope you can all see and hear me. If you can see and hear me, please write yes in the chat and we will get started. Hello, good evening, guys. कैसा चल रहा है? How are things? How is everything going? हाँ यार, पूरे टी शर्ट्स का भंडार खरीद लिया था जब मैं एक बार एनपीए गया था. मुझे अच्छी लग रही थी, तो मुझे जितने कलर. So, So, I have a few announcements to make. Firstly, let us take a look at our progress in. So, in effect, we have done so far, we have had about 11 classes so far, or maybe 12. I think we've had 11 only. 11 classes so far, and in all these 11 classes, we've been focusing with some addition from current affairs. That being said, we have covered one, ecology basics, and we've covered biodiversity basics. Then we've covered acts of India and Indian laws. Fourth, we've covered international conventions. Fifth, we've actually covered energy and Indian initiatives. So the idea of renewable energy and nuclear energy. Then we've covered India's initiatives. And lastly, we are doing pollution, in which we have covered broadly air pollution, but some part of pollution is still remaining. Now, I got a lot of messages from you. Because, of course, it's been hectic over the last 2 weeks. Not even had breaks on Sundays, and I understand. Honestly, it's also been hectic for me. देखो, जितना पढ़ना हेक्टिक है, पढ़ाना उससे ज़्यादा हेक्टिक है. I'm sure you would believe that. Because, of course, a lot of research goes into basically getting everything come together in one place, etc. So now, that being said, today what we're going to do, see, we are left with a very few topics. I'll tell you what we're left with. We are left with some parts of pollution only. So what we're left with is water pollution, we're left with plastic pollution, we're left with radioactive pollution, and we're left with land pollution broadly, and some other small miscellaneous topics like thermal power plants, etc. Now, we are also left with, which is what we're doing today, a test of PYQs. तो सबसे पहले आज you are going to have a test of 64 PYQs. ठीक है, this is what we are starting with. तभी मैं स्टूडियो में हूँ क्योंकि मुझे यहाँ खड़ा नहीं होना है आज. So it gets tiring for me to take 2 classes in a day. That's why I prefer to sit on that chair. But now I can sit on the chair when you are answering these 64 questions. So there are 64 questions that we have to do today. After this, it is my what basically I'm thinking is that these pollution topics that we are doing, I would take a class with you. If you have 2 options basically, We can do a class next Sunday because you have to start with IR also, and also I understand current affairs भी काफी ज़्यादा है and there's a burden and I get it. So we can do a class next Sunday when we cover all of this, or I can record all of this for you within the week, and you can cover it on Sunday, and I can on Sunday do a revision session with you. Either is fine by me. I just want कि आप थोड़ा सा पहले ये वाला पार्ट रिवाइज कर लो, because in all the tests that I have seen you guys give, I feel it is more of information overload than it is absorption. So I would want कि जितना आपने पढ़ लिया, this is 95% of environment, this is hardly 5%, and we'll have to do current affairs also. Also, one more thing, the class of mapping is already uploaded. So जो mapping की class है मैंने upload कर दी है. You can wait for Pallavi ma'am's live class if that is what you want, or you can look at this class. मैंने सारे national parks करा रखे हैं. So all national parks along with all the rivers of India in one place. All of this is covered in this class and it has been uploaded on your portal. I've checked. So now you have two options. One, you can choose to, wait for Pallavi ma'am's class, or you can just watch this. इससे आपके national parks खत्म हो जाएंगे. फिर places in news बचेंगे, रामसर sites बचेंगे, वो आप पल्लवी मैम के साथ देख लेना. वो वैसे भी वो सिर्फ current affairs वाला ही part cover करना होता है. You don't have to cover all the रामसर sites. There's no way you can remember 98 of them. National parks सारे याद करने होते हैं. यहाँ मैंने वो पढ़े हुए हैं. Now, it is my endeavor to ensure कि यार आप लोग सीखो भी, rather than just me parroting information to you and पता चलता है फिर कि उतना knowledge transfer नहीं हुआ है. So what we'll do today is we have 64 questions. Then I would like to share some important messages with you with regard to environment. And ये वाला जो part हमारा बचा है, you have two options. One is I can take all of it live next Sunday, or I can give it to you recorded, and then we can have a revision session after 1 week when you can then come and revise that part with me, or you can revise actually the whole syllabus with me in one go, and you can watch this recorded. Obviously, I'll only be able to do one of these, so it's your call. I would obviously prefer the revision session one because that matters more. So you can tell me what would be your opinion. I think this would be better कि मैं आपको ये record करके दे दूँ, and you watch it after a few days, after your or I'll upload it after a few days after your exhaustion with environment is over. I understand it has been intense over the last few weeks. It has been difficult because this subject is not small. Science and tech, on the other hand, is a small subject, a very eminently doable subject. This is a subject which requires you to work really hard, to learn a lot of things. There's a lot of information thrown at you. So because there is a lot of information thrown at you, it is very difficult to get things right and to actually demystify, decode the subject and do it in a clear and logical manner. But kudos to you and kudos to all of us that we've actually managed to come this far and finish almost all the topics that were required. So this is what I basically wanted to tell you. After this, we will start the test. And then in the end, I have a few things to share with you. ठीक है, I will take the decision myself. मुझे समझ आ रहा था कि ये तो नहीं सॉर्ट हो पाएगा. मैं अपनी क्लास की पीपीटी में अपलोड करा देता हूँ. ठीक है, आई अंडरस्टैंड यार, रिविजन इज अ डिफिकल्ट टास्क. इट इज अ डिफिकल्ट टास्क. आप पहले इतना रिवाइज करो. वील डू अ लाइव रिविजन सेशन. आई विल आल्सो गिव यू द रिकॉर्डेड सेशन. ठीक है, दोनों चीजें कर लेंगे. नाउ टुडे यू आर गोइंग टू डू दीस 64 क्वेश्चंस. These 64 questions also contain questions from some of those questions are from this part that you have not read. When there is a question like that, आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि यार ये तो मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं है. कोई बात नहीं पढ़ा तो एब्सोल्युटली कोई बात नहीं. ठीक है, एब्सोल्युटली कोई बात नहीं. अगर आपने नहीं पढ़ा है तो एटलीस्ट लुक एट द क्वेश्चन एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा यार इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. These type of questions get asked. At least understand this, so that in the future at least you have an understanding कि अच्छा यार इस टाइप के questions हैं, and I can, when you're studying or when you're revising, when you're reading, you know कि okay, these are the things that UPSC generally focuses on. नहीं तो कई बार ना हमें लगता है कि हम फालतू में ही पढ़े जा रहे हैं, इतने क्वेश्चन तो यूपीएससी पूछता है नहीं, बट पूछता है, and you'll get that today. Anyway, so let's start with the test. 64 questions का test है. I am not going to give you any hints. The mic will be off. No hints, nothing. Just solve the question on the board. That's all we are doing. 64 में से I am assuming there would be about 15 questions जो 14 मान लेते हैं अभी के लिए. There would be 14 questions that you would not have heard of. इनको हटा देते हैं. जो बचेंगे, the remaining questions will be 50. Remaining questions will be 50. 50 ऐसे जरूर होंगे जो आपको आने चाहिए, which you should know. There must be 50 questions which you must know, right? उनको हम डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे. इसमें I want the target for today is that avoidable mistakes here should be less than equal to 3. This should be the target. 3 से ऊपर avoidable mistakes नहीं जाने देनी है हमें. Avoidable mistake का मतलब क्या है? How do you define avoidable mistake? This is a question that you should have gotten correct. If it should be correct and it is not correct for any reason, you've left it, you've ignored it, you did not understand it, कुछ भी हुआ, it should have been correct but it's not correct for any reason, I will count it as an avoidable mistake. ठीक है? So I hope you're all ready. I hope you're all ready. This is the last time we're doing this, because with this you would have done, with this today's slide, you would have done 175 PYQs of environment with me. In total, 175, 174, or maybe 170. I'm not sure of the exact number, but close to 175, approximately 175 PYQs you would have done with me. Similarly, in science and tech, if I count, we had done some 130 PYQs, close to 125, 130. So in these 4 weeks, I just want to congratulate you that you have also stuck around, and we have actually done 300 previous year questions. We've also understood all concepts of static that we had to understand. कोई ऐसा concept नहीं है static का जो हमने छोड़ा हो, कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं है जो हमने छोड़ी हो इन subjects में. And of course, current affairs are ongoing. We had a current affairs class in the morning for science and tech. उसमें मैंने आपको समझाया भी था कि current affairs को जल्दी कैसे पढ़ना होता है and how do you actually reduce your revision time. तो आपका रिविजन टाइम उससे काफी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो जाता है. मतलब एक 25-30 पेज की करंट अफेयर्स का डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर 3 months फॉर वन सब्जेक्ट. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, जनरली अगस्त, सितंबर, अक्टूबर, दीज आर 3 months. इनका एक डॉक्यूमेंट ऑफ करंट अफेयर्स वुड बी 30 pages इफ यू आर कवरिंग ऑल दी आर्टिकल्स. तो ये डॉक्यूमेंट आई थिंक 40 minutes में रिवाइज होता है, 40-45 minutes में. अगर आप वो वाली इंडेक्स टेक्निक कहता हूँ मैं उसको, अगर आप उस इंडेक्स टेक्निक को यूज कर लेते हैं तो इन अबाउट 40 minutes इट वुड बी कवर्ड. एंड a lot of you were in that class also, तो आपने वो देखा ही होगा. Now, again, let's finish this. But before we do, I'd just like to tell you that I am super proud of you and immensely thankful for you being here, and immensely thankful for the effort and discipline you have shown me. When we started this environment or science and tech, when we started these sessions, the number of people who were there in the first session versus the number of, वो तो मुझे दिख रहा है यहाँ पे अभी, like I see the live counter, the number of people who are now in the sessions, there is a huge gap. So to those of you who could stick around with the live sessions till now, of course, it has taken a lot of dedication on your part, a lot of effort on your part, and I'm immensely proud of that effort. I'd also like to, thank you for placing your trust in me for these subjects. Of course, we're not done yet. We have a lot of current affairs to cover. Environment will not be over even after that recorded session. हमने current affairs अभी करे ही नहीं है. There are at least 3 to 4 classes of current affairs that I'm going to do. 1 for species and 3 otherwise, or 2 otherwise, right? तो वो तो हमारा पार्ट रहता ही है अभी भी. So we're still going to meet live and everything, but I'm just very happy with all the effort you guys have put in and the genuine improvement that you guys have tried to achieve and the improvement that you've tried to attain. That is no small feat. It's not easy to do, and it comes at a huge personal cost. But the fact that you've done it makes me really happy, and I honestly wish, if it were up to me, I would wish that all of you would get selected. Of course, that's not something that can happen. But I honestly wish that you are at least in a position where you look back at your journey and say that, yes, you put your best foot forward. Whether you get selected or not is probably also up to luck. But it is something which I wish for you, that you can say with your head held high that yes, I put in my best foot forward and I put in my best effort. ठीक है. With that, let us start this test. ठीक है. I hope you're all ready for the test. And please keep this in mind, avoidable mistakes less than equal to 3. ये हैं avoidable mistakes. ठीक है. चलिए, let's go. ठीक है, let's start. First question, no hints from me. ठीक है. All right, we are done. So congratulations, this was your last test. कैसा रहा भाई एक्सपीरियंस टेस्ट का? How was the experience? चलो अब एक बार आंसर्स डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. लेट्स डिस्कस द आंसर्स वंस, है ना? एक बार आंसर्स डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. ओके. In context of mitigating the impending global warming due to anthropogenic emissions of carbon, which of the following can be identified for carbon sequestration? Okay. So this is a question directly out of carbon capture utilization storage. CCUS का ही एक question है. Abandoned and uneconomic coal seams, यहाँ तो डाल ही सकते हैं कार्बन को. ऑयल एंड गैस रिजर्वॉयर्स में भी डाल सकते हैं, डीप सलाइन फॉर्मेशंस में भी डाल सकते हैं. नन ऑफ दिस इज अ प्रॉब्लम. राइट आंसर इज डी 1, 2 and 3. नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम हियर, ऑफ कोर्स ये कर लिया होगा, आई एम श्योर. देन the scientific view is that the increase in global temperature should not exceed 2 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial level. Okay, if it increases beyond 3 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial level, what can be its possible impacts on the world? Okay, terrestrial biosphere tends towards a net carbon source. Fair enough, हो सकता है. It is like there will be enough destruction of forests and the biosphere would be emitting more carbon dioxide than it would be taking in. Fair enough. Coral mortality is widespread. Of course, corals are very sensitive, so this is also possible. All the global wetlands will permanently disappear. I'm sure you can understand कि ये statement तो गलत है. आप थर्ड को एलिमिनेट कर लो. यहीं पे ही आपका आंसर आ गया. 1 is correct, 2 is correct. फोर्थ पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, फिर भी पढ़ लेते हैं. Cultivation of cereals will not be possible anywhere in the world. Of course, this is also a wrong option. तो ये भी गलत है ना? All right. Blue carbon direct question. अभी तक जितने क्वेश्चन दिखाए हैं, there should be 0 mistakes. अभी तक तो सारे करने वाले थे, तो अभी तक तो कोई गलती नहीं होनी चाहिए. Okay. Net metering. Net metering हमने पढ़ा है that let's say this is a house. On my house, on the roof, I attach here some solar panels. If I have solar panels here, what will be net metering? कि the amount of energy I am producing and what I am consuming, इसका जो net impact होगा, जो net consumption होगी, I will be charged only for that. Right? So that is net metering. ये हम पढ़ चुके हैं. Production and use of solar energy by the consumers. ठीक है? All right. International Solar Alliance was launched at United Nations Climate Change Conference in 2015. Okay. Alliance includes all the members of United Nations? No, of course not. So this is also wrong. आप एक ट्रेंड देखना यूपीएससी में. Before the year 2020, you would see that there are options that can be eliminated even by looking at the statement without knowing enough information. 2020 के बाद ये जो एलिमिनेशन का गेम था ना, ये खत्म हो चुका है. तो बहुत लोग आपको कहेंगे कि यार एलिमिनेशन टेक्निक्स फॉलो कर लो, and they would show you previous year questions also, but the application becomes very tough post 2020. After 2020, UPSC has entered a new phase, and it will not be easy questions like this. I think anybody who has even basic information would be able to solve this question, but at 2020 के बाद के questions देखोगे तो वो इतने आसान नहीं होते. All right, this question. This was the first application-based question we had to do today. BEE star label. क्या है ये? कि कितने स्टार रेटेड अप्लायंस है. आपने देखा होगा 5 स्टार रेटेड ऐसे करके एक लेबल होता है रेड कलर का, फिर यहाँ पे उसके बारे में ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी का लेबल होता है, उसमें इंफॉर्मेशन लिखी होती है. किन किन चीजों पे होगा? इट इज ऑन ऑल इलेक्ट्रिकल डिवाइसेस, सो यूड फाइंड इट ऑन ऑल ऑफ देम. तब ये स्टार लेबल इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था. सो दिस वाज इन द न्यूज, एंड लॉजिकली ऑल्सो यू कैन एस्टिमेट कि हाँ हर पे आपको मिल तो सकता ही है, because it's also says can you find, so possibly it can be there on every device, but again not something which would be asked again directly. तो अगर इसमें थोड़ी गलती भी हुई है, It is more of a common sense question than it is an environment question. Technologies for solar power production. Consider the following. Photovoltaics is a technology that generates electricity by direct conversion of light into electricity, correct? While solar thermal is a technology that utilizes the sun's rays to generate heat, which is further used in electricity generation process. बात सही है. एक केस में सोलर थर्मल में भी क्लियर हो रहा है, ये भी क्लियर हो रहा है. Photovoltaics generate AC current. This is wrong. Photovoltaics will generate DC current. तो ये स्टेटमेंट तो गलत है. Then India has manufacturing base for solar thermal, but not for photovoltaics. ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं है. But I want you to answer one question. What sort, and I want to see your application, what sort of current will be generated in the case of solar thermal? अगर मैं सोलर थर्मल से करंट जनरेट करूंगा तो किस टाइप का करंट जनरेट होगा? क्या लगता है आपको? थिंक अबाउट इट एंड टेल मी. क्या गुड. अरे इफ देयर इज इनफ हीट एनीथिंग कैन जनरेट करंट. मैं पता ही है ना, करंट जनरेट करने के लिए क्या करना है? वाटर ही तो बॉयल करना है. जैसे ही वाटर वेपर मिला करंट आ जाएगा. If there is enough heat through a solar thermal plant, I will have enough heat to boil water. If I can boil water, I can generate current. The fact here is that if you are using water vapor to generate current, it is usually alternating current. Why? Because you're actually trying to turn a turbine. And turbine is turning, so direction of current keeps changing. That is alternating current. It changes its direction very frequently क्योंकि आप magnets के through generate करा रहे हो. In photovoltaics, it is a direct generation, which is called direct current. Right? All right. SDGs were first proposed in 1972 by a global think tank called Club of Rome. Absolutely not. SDGs have to be achieved by 2030. This is correct. Again, easy question, solvable. Second is correct. Best describes the aim of Green India Mission. ये क्वेश्चन हम शायद पहले कर चुके हैं. Environmental benefits and costs into union and state budgets and implementing green accounting. भाई afforestation का मिशन है, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है इसमें. Second green revolution, ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं है. Enhancing forest cover and responding to climate change by adaptation and mitigation. This is correct. So third is correct. ये यहाँ पे third होना चाहिए of course, but ठीक है, this is correct. Then Government of India encourages the cultivation of sea buckthorn. It encourages the cultivation of sea buckthorn. What is the importance? Helps in controlling soil erosion and desertification. Okay. ये पढ़ा है हमने by the way. Rich source of biodiesel. नहीं, ऐसा तो बिल्कुल नहीं है. Nutritional value and it can adapt fine. Great commercial value. इसका timber. सी बकथॉर्न से टिम्बर मिलेगा ही नहीं. राइट. सो आंसर इज 1 and 3 एंड वी हैव रेड दिस सेपरेटली. हमने सी बकथॉर्न पढ़ा है ना. अब सोलर वाटर पंप्स. अब इस क्वेश्चन में क्या था देखते हैं. जस्ट 1 सेकेंड. Okay, with reference to solar water pumps, consider the following. Can be used. अब solar water pump से क्या मतलब है कि आपने solar power generate करी. You've generated solar power. Now you want to use it in a pump. है ना. अब भाई solar power आपने generate कर ली. This is like any other normal source of electricity. जैसे normal electricity होती है वैसे यहाँ पे electricity आएगी. अब इस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी को आप किसी भी पंप में यूज कर लो. सरफेस पंप्स बट नॉट फॉर सबमर्सिबल पंप्स. क्यों भाई? अगर ये किसी भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से रन होते हैं तो ये सोलर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से भी रन हो जाएंगे. सेंट्रीफ्यूगल पंप्स बट नॉट द वंस विद पिस्टन. ऐसा भी नहीं है. अगर ये किसी भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से रन होते हैं तो ये रन हो ही जाएंगे. तो दिस अगेन, इफ इट इज कंसेप्चुअली क्लियर इन योर हेड दैट यू आर जनरेटिंग, इट्स नॉट लाइक सनलाइट से डायरेक्टली पंप चल रहा है. सनलाइट से पहले हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेट करते हैं. फ्रॉम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वी आर रनिंग द पंप. है ना. अब ये क्वेश्चन दिस क्वेश्चन एब्सोल्युटली यू डोंट नीड टू सॉल्व. गलत भी हो गया तो भी कोई बात नहीं. योर आइडियल रिस्पॉन्स हियर शुड हैव बीन टू स्किप दिस क्वेश्चन. Ideal response was you should skip this question. Now, why do you decide to skip this question? ये वैसे 2020 आपके लिए 2022 में किसी ने पढ़ा हो तो वो बता सकता है. This is more of current affairs and that too very minute current affairs has been asked. So this I've given this prelims. My option also here was to skip this. Right? अगर आप जैसे हमने नहीं पढ़ा है ऑब्वियसली पुराने करंट अफेयर्स हैं 4 साल पुराने तो कोई पॉइंट भी नहीं है. अगर आपको एग्जैक्टली नहीं आता यू शुड स्किप इट. अब सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड स्कीम, वी हैव रेड दिस स्कीम. हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या हैं? एक्सपैंडिंग कल्टिवेबल एरिया अंडर इरिगेशन, इसकी तो कोई बात नहीं करता ये. एनेबलिंग बैंक्स टू असेस क्वांटम ऑफ लोन्स टू बी ग्रांटेड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ सॉइल क्वालिटी, इसकी भी कोई बात नहीं करता ये. ओवर यूज ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर्स की जरूर बात करता है. दिस इज करेक्ट. IAEA safeguards, again something that we have read, है ना? Just give me 1 second guys, just 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So IAEA safeguards. Why are some nuclear reactors kept under IAEA safeguards? Because they use imported uranium. We've read this. If you are importing your uranium, IAEA would want to keep a check on you. Okay? All right. Least water efficient crop out of these. Sugarcane we have read. Water guzzler crop hai. This was one of the problems we read. Direct question has been asked. This you should be able to solve easily. National policy on biofuels. Which of the following can be used as raw materials for production of biofuels? Okay. Now, we have something called food versus fuel debate. This debate we have seen. Food on one side, fuel on the other side. Would we want कि कोई भी ऐसे food crop है जिससे हम ethanol बनाएं, biofuels बनाएं? Ideally, we would not want this. Now look at the options. Cassava is tapioca. This we have read separately कि ये तो allowed है. Damaged wheat grains. Would we have a problem with this? Absolutely no problem with this. Groundnut seeds. भाई इंडिया में प्रोटीन डेफिशिएंसी है लोगों को. आप ग्राउंडनट से अगर बायोफ्यूल बना दोगे, ऑलरेडी वी डोंट हैव इनफ सप्लाई ऑफ ग्राउंडनट्स, so this is wrong. हॉर्स ग्राम, काला चना, अगेन प्रोटीन डेफिशिएंसी है यार, लोगों को मिल नहीं रहा काला चना खाने के लिए, तो आप काले चने से क्या आप बायोफ्यूल बनाओगे? आंसर इज ऑब्वियसली यू विल नॉट मेक बायोफ्यूल. रॉटन पोटैटोस, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. शुगर बीट, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. राइट. Now this question is an application of this. देखो आप याद, although in your document you will see that I've given you a list of things that can be used for biofuel production. That does not mean you will be able to remember all of them. Some level of application will be required. Again, like I've told you, that is why I'm not very insistent on continuing the remaining small topics with you, because I want you to read these topics and actually think about them. तभी वो application आ पाएगी. राइट, आपको सोचना पड़ेगा उसके बारे में जो आप पढ़ रहे हो, तभी आप शायद उसको अब्सॉर्ब कर पाओगे. अब इट इज पॉसिबल टू प्रोड्यूस एल्गे बेस्ड बायोफ्यूल्स, बट व्हाट इज और आर द लाइकली लिमिटेशंस ऑफ डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज इन प्रमोटिंग दिस इंडस्ट्री? ओके, इट इज पॉसिबल ओनली इन सीज एंड नॉट ऑन कॉन्टिनेंट्स। ऐसा तो कुछ भी नहीं है, आप कॉन्टिनेंट पे प्रोड्यूस करना है कर लो। एल्गे क्या लेक्स में ग्रो नहीं करते? करते हैं। Setting up engineering and algae-based biofuel production requires high level of expertise/technology until the construction is completed. Now, especially if in the question the word developing countries is written, this is something that you should be able to estimate. हाँ, costly technology है. Economically viable production necessitates the setting up of large-scale facilities which may raise ecological and social concerns. अगर आपने वैसे भी 1 को गलत कर लिया और 2 को सही कर लिया, आपने थर्ड ऑप्शन पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, एक ही ऑप्शन है 2 and 3, बट इवन दिस इज करेक्ट। और क्योंकि वहां पर डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज लिखा है, आई थिंक इट्स ऑल्सो इजी टू एस्टिमेट, है ना? ओके, नाउ दिस क्वेश्चन, दिस इफ यू गेट रॉन्ग इट्स एब्सोल्युटली ओके। अब पढ़ लेते हैं, राइट? नाउ लेट्स लर्न। आपने पढ़ा होगा एनाबेना एंड नॉस्टॉक। Anabena and nostoc, they are both used in nitrogen cycle. तो ये तो सही है। अगैरिकस क्या है? अगैरिकस एक एडिबल फंगस है। और स्पायरोगैरा क्या है? आगे के लिए याद कर लीजिए। स्पायरोगैरा क्या है? इट इज अ ग्रीन एल्गा दैट इज फाउंड इन शैलो वाटर। तो दिस इज समथिंग यू शुड नो, अदरवाइज because it has been asked before, it was never repeated after this, so ठीक है। Usefulness of byproducts of sugar industry, which of the following is or are correct? Bagasse can be used for biomass fuel or biofuel, correct? Molasses क्या होते हैं? शुगर केन का पार्ट होता है। For the production of synthetic chemical fertilizer, सिंथेटिक केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर में आप शुगर केन का कटा हुआ पार्ट क्यों डालोगे? मोलासेस कैन बी यूज्ड फॉर प्रोडक्शन ऑफ एथेनॉल, ये बात बिल्कुल सही है। आंसर इज 1 and 3, ठीक है। अगेन इट मोस्ट ऑफ इट यू विल सी विल बी एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड। Coal bed methane is pure methane gas extracted from coal seams, while shale gas is a mixture of propane and butane only that can be extracted from fine-grained sedimentary rocks. क्या गलती है स्टेटमेंट में? What is the thing that is wrong here? बताओ। दोनों ही गलत है। मीथेन इज नॉट, it is never pure methane gas. Shale gas is definitely not propane and butane only, right? It has a, इसमें इथेन भी है, it's a hydrocarbon gas mixture, right? तो shale gas में ये प्रॉब्लम है। इंडिया abundant coal bed methane exists, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है, but no shale gas sources have been found, ऐसा तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। shale gas है इंडिया में। So answer here is neither 1 nor 2. अब ग्वार गम, ग्वार गम तो हमने उस क्विज में भी देख लिया था, I'm not repeating this. डायरेक्ट PYQ है, शेल गैस में यूज होता है, पढ़ा है हमने ये। अगेन यू शुड गेट दिस राइट। अब now this is a new thing, we will read this, हमें ये we still have to read this technology, it's very much in the current affairs also. This is hydrogen mixed with CNG, ठीक है। तो क्या होता है इसमें? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड थोड़ा कम होता है, right? And you can blend hydrogen and CNG together, it's a clean fuel, right? But of course it is not less expensive. Any new technology will not be less expensive, right? When you are burning something like compressed natural gas, can you ever eliminate carbon monoxide emissions? भाई कुछ तो burning ऐसी होगी ना that will happen जिसमें carbon involved होगा and there will be oxygen with less quantity, proper oxygen formation नहीं होगा, तो कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड तो बनेगा ही। ये भी एस्टिमेट किया जा सकता है। आई एम नॉट सेइंग यू हैव टू सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन करेक्टली, आई एब्सोल्युटली अंडरस्टैंड इफ यू डोंट, बट यू विल सी क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस आल्सो। नाउ इट्स अबाउट एस्टिमेटिंग in this situation whether you will be able to get it or not. अब अगर आप ये बोलो कि यार HCNG तो मुझे पता ही नहीं, फिर तो बात ही खत्म, फिर तो ये क्वेश्चन नहीं हो रहा। बट अगर आप सोचो यार कि CNG है, कंप्रेस्ड नेचुरल गैस है, कोई ना कोई हाइड्रोकार्बन यहां पर जरूर होगा। हाइड्रोकार्बन को अगर मैं बर्न करूंगा तो देयर विल बी सम कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड प्रोडक्शन, ये बात तो मुझे लग रहा है। तो एलिमिनेशन ऑफ कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड मे बी सीम्स लाइक अ बिट ऑफ अ स्ट्रेच टू मी। ठीक है, सो फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट गलत है। अब फर्स्ट गलत करने के बाद आई एम लेफ्ट विद दीज टू ऑप्शंस, या तो 2 and 3 सही है या 4 सही है। ठीक है, अब फ्यूल रिड्यूसेस कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड हाइड्रोकार्बन इमिशंस, एक मेरे पास, और दूसरा ऑप्शन है कि 1/5 बाय वॉल्यूम ब्लेंडिंग, और एक है लेस एक्सपेंसिव। यू हैव टू पिक दैट ईदर दीज टू आर करेक्ट और दिस इज करेक्ट, इनमें से कोई एक आपने पिक करना है। राइट, लेस एक्सपेंसिव के चांस कम है बिकॉज इट्स अ न्यू फ्यूल, बट स्टिल अगर आपने फर्स्ट एलिमिनेट कर लिया था देन वील रीड दिस एनीवे, तो वहां हो जाएगा। अब सिस्टम ऑफ राइस इंटेंसिफिकेशन, I will cultivate rice in a more intense manner. It is some new technology related with rice, in which क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है alternate wetting and drying of rice, कि यार कभी वेट करेंगे राइस को, मतलब वेट फील्ड में प्लांट करेंगे, ऐसे वेट फील्ड में प्लांट करेंगे, फिर उसके बाद इसी फील्ड को ड्राई कर देंगे, फिर राइस ऐसे ड्राई फील्ड में होगा। तो इससे क्या होगा? विल मीथेन प्रोडक्शन बी रिड्यूस्ड? ऑफ कोर्स। If methane production is reduced, of course, electricity consumption should also be reduced if you're requiring less water, right? Now, whether it leads to reduced seed requirement or not, this is up to you. मेरा ही साल का prelims है, very much in the news that year, तो ठीक है, करने लायक question था for that year. If you don't get it, it's fine. Generally, for a newer technology that is eco-friendly, things are generally in favor of that technology, but ठीक है, even if you don't get it right, it's fine. अब to meet the rapidly growing energy demand, some opine that India should pursue research on development of thorium as future fuel of nuclear energy. In this context, what advantage does thorium hold over uranium? Thorium is far more abundant. Absolutely. Thorium is actually 3 times more abundant. On the basis of per unit mass of mined mineral, thorium can generate more energy compared to natural uranium. That is also correct. Thorium produces less harmful waste in comparison to uranium. That is also correct. Now you might not know these facts, but now please note them down. I'm giving you a minute. Ab note kar lo. Since it has been asked before, this was the time when our first fast breeder reactor was starting to be established. So thorium was very much in the news this time because fast breeder reactor stage 2 had been achieved and stage 3 was being discussed. कर लीजिए, नोट कर लीजिए, these are important. All right. Now, India is an important member of ITER, tokamak. अगर एक्सपेरिमेंट सक्सीड हो गया तो इंडिया को क्या फायदा होगा? हम फ्यूजन रिएक्टर बना सकते हैं. दैट इज द ओनली ऑप्शन दैट मेक्स सेंस, नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. नाउ, with reference to India, consider the following statement. Monazite is a source of rare earth. Okay. Monazite contains thorium. Okay. Naturally in the entire Indian coastal sands. केरला में है भाई, एंटायर इंडियन कोस्टल साइड्स में नहीं है. थर्ड इज रॉन्ग. गवर्नमेंट बॉडीज ओनली. atomic mineral exclusive property of the government, at least before now. In atomic energy we had no private entry, so answer is 1, 2 and 4. Okay, very doable question. Consider the following heavy industries. Green hydrogen is expected to play a significant role in decarbonizing how many of the above? Now, this is again a question that you should get right. Although we have discussed this many times. Green hydrogen क्या है? Green hydrogen is nothing but a battery. हमने ये इकोनॉमी के करंट अफेयर्स में भी डिस्कस किया था. ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन इज नथिंग बट अ बैटरी. इट इज अ स्टोर ऑफ एनर्जी. आपने वो वीडियो भी देखी है ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन वाली. सो इन एनी ऑफ दीज इंडस्ट्रीज यू कैन यूज ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन बिकॉज these are all energy intensive. A lot of energy is required here. If you have green hydrogen, you can use this green hydrogen to then supply energy to these three industries. If you're using green hydrogen means you are automatically using renewable energy. It's green because renewable energy is used. Answer is all three. With reference to green hydrogen, consider the following statements. It can be used directly as fuel for internal combustion. बिल्कुल. आप हाइड्रोजन प्लस ऑक्सीजन करा के वाटर emit करोगे. This is fine. Blended with natural gas and used as fuel for heat or power generation. Now you see how questions repeat. We have to see this in current affairs also. इस पर news भी है, तो we have not discussed this yet in detail. But did you see there was a question earlier on hydrogen blended CNG? What is this? Hydrogen and compressed natural gas. So it can be blended with natural gas. Getting it? And it can be used in hydrogen fuel cell. Fuel cell vehicles तो हमने पढ़े. Hydrogen fuel cell में अगर आप इसको रन करोगे तो again water and heat will be released because you will have hydrogen plus oxygen burning and release of water and heat. So all three statements are correct. Again, doable question. एप्लीकेशन जो करेगा दिमाग की वो इसको कर सकता है. अब फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स से क्या निकलता है? 2023 में दे आर आस्किंग अबाउट हाइड्रोजन फ्यूल सेल. 2024 में दे आर आस्किंग फ्यूल सेल इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल से क्या निकलता है, स्पेशली व्हेन दे आर पावर्ड बाय हाइड्रोजन. You see how questions get repeated. So the questions of the last few years become the most important, and that is why when I do current affairs with you in environment, you will see कि कुछ last के years के current affairs भी हम साथ में वहीं पे incorporate करेंगे. All right. Now this question 2024, we've not read the term distributed energy resources. Now मैं आपको अब बता देता हूं इसका मतलब. एग्जाम हॉल में ऐसे क्वेश्चन करना मुश्किल होता है. What could this term possibly mean? आपके हिसाब से इस टर्म का मीनिंग क्या है? What could this term possibly mean? Very good. If you have read, नहीं यार देखो, if somebody is saying it is non-conventional, conventional and non-conventional do not really come from distribution. It has to be related to distribution of energy, no? कई लोगों ने सही आंसर दिया. ओके, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड का ऑपोजिट क्या होता है? सेंट्रलाइज्ड. What would be centralized energy resources? Those that are connected to our electricity grid. So DER क्या होंगे? Resources that are not connected to our electricity grid. ये हमारे ग्रिड से कनेक्टेड नहीं है, है ना? Now look at the question again. Is battery storage directly connected to our grid? Answer is no. Biomass connected to our grid? Answer is no. Are fuel cells? No. Are rooftop solar photovoltaic units? No. They can be considered distributed. It is with regards to distribution of energy, no? Distribution of energy happens through grid, no? And a lot of you have given the right answer also. So I hope you can understand this. और नहीं समझ आया तो कोई बात नहीं. This is okay. PYQs are also a learning exercise. ठीक है, सी देखो, आई टेल यू व्हाट, I was teaching environment at this, not for this year, I've not taught for 2024, I taught it for 23. इस साल मैं लबासना में था, but मैंने पेपर देखा था. There was no current affairs material at that time which carried this term. Now of course everybody will use it because they want to tell you कि हाँ यार देखो मेरे से ही questions आए थे, because you will not go back in time and look at their previous documents. But at that time, I can give you this guarantee that at that time nobody carried this, or I think at least most common sources did not carry this. किसी एक आधे ने किया हो तो अलग बात है. But the most common sources that most people read, that did not carry this information. So now it comes down to your understanding. If you have an understanding of this topic and you know what centralized grid is and we're trying to connect the grids, etc., you would still be able to get to this answer. Otherwise you won't, and you will see questions like this in the prelims. आपको ऐसे क्वेश्चंस दिखेंगे जहां पर आपने इन टर्म्स को नहीं सुना हुआ होगा. There will be new terms for you, there will be difficult terms for you, different terms for you, but you will have to still work hard and get them right. And the idea here is to stay calm and apply word breakdown. Distributed sources of energy. Distributed energy resources लिखा है ना, distributed sources of energy कर लो. फैले हुए सोर्सेस अलग अलग जगह पे प्रेजेंट हैं, एक जगह पर सेंट्रलाइज नहीं है. वर्ड ब्रेकडाउन इज एप्लीकेबल. Fuel cell, why would you connect a fuel cell to a grid? I'll tell you what. You can possibly connect a fuel cell to a grid, but you can find fuel cell in a car also. Fuel cell तो गाड़ी में भी हो सकता है. Photovoltaic units. If you connect them to the grid, then it's fine. But as a source of energy, is it a grid? If I'm saying I am generating energy off my rooftop using a solar plant, is it a source of energy I have gotten from the grid? Answer is no. If I say I have gotten energy from a biomass generator, have I gotten this energy off the grid? Answer is no. If I have stored some energy in a battery, have I gotten it off the grid? No. But yes, this was a very tough question, specifically because of these options, the way they are framed. Right? Which one of the above can be used as feedstock for producing sustainable aviation fuel? We still have to read this. ठीक है, हम ये फिर भी पढ़ेंगे. Don't worry, we have to read this. Very important for this year also, in news this year. So we'll read SAF. So this question, just learn कि ये part important होता है. Just learn कि ये part important होता है. हम देखेंगे अभी SAF. Okay. Now, pumped storage hydropower. ये तो आपको पता है, डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन है. Now, pollutants in drinking water in some parts of India. Right? Now let me tell you something about pollution questions. See, to get pollution questions right, या तो आपकी किस्मत अच्छी हो या आप बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ते हो. Pollution in environment, pollution questions are generally the toughest because it requires you to have some knowledge of chemistry. For example, if you remember this, only in yesterday's class I told you that formaldehyde is a volatile organic compound. Volatile organic compound means it generally exists as a gas. If it exists as a gas, can it be present in drinking water? And if you just eliminate the fourth option, then it comes down to taking a decision on uranium. और ये तो आजकल भी हो रहा है. पंजाब में uranium contamination has been found. राजस्थान में uranium contamination is an issue. समझ रहे हो? So ये questions tough होते हैं. Again, and it is not just that I can give you content that directly matches this. मैं आपको लिख के दे सकता हूँ कि यहाँ पर ये है, यहाँ पर ये है. It is also about you learning this skill. It is about learning the skill, and I'll tell you again, this is a fairly tough question. ये fairly tough question है. Right? This is a fairly tough question. Difficult to get this question right. Because यहां पर आप कैसे estimate करोगे? है ना? अब pyrolysis and plasma gasification, we'll read this. This is the first thing we read in land pollution. This is how you deal with landfills and land waste. Answer is waste to energy, but ठीक है, we've not done this part, so it's fine. अब acid rain किससे होता है? This you should never get wrong. अब photochemical smog is a result because of the reaction among nitrogen oxides, ozone, and peroxyacetyl nitrate in the presence of sunlight. You remember there is a photolysis step here. There is a step of photolysis that happens here. है ना? So this is something that, in my opinion, was a doable question. हमने पढ़ा है डिटेल में. अब due to improper or indiscriminate disposal of old and used computers and their parts, which of the following are released into the environment as e-waste? Now you had one of two options. You could probably say कि यार e-waste तो मैंने अभी करा ही नहीं है, तो छोड़ो. Or you could read the options carefully and say कि सर ये थोड़ा सा radioactive नहीं लग रहा है देखने में. Old computers में would we use a radioactive material? Would I throw, अभी यहाँ पे सामने कंप्यूटर है, मैं ऐसे फेंकूंगा तो क्या इसमें कोई रेडियो एक्टिव मटीरियल होगा क्या? आई एम इन क्लोज कॉन्टैक्ट विद माई कंप्यूटर एवरी सिंगल डे. सो इफ इट इज रेडियो एक्टिव, इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दिस, राइट? अब just 7 had to be eliminated. Again, pollution questions like this, be very careful. Think, अगर नहीं आता तो छोड़ देना. UPSC has a habit of giving very weird answers. This one was easy if you could identify plutonium. Okay. Maximum consumer of water. I think there was no doubt here. Water for coal washing, water for boiling, water for generation of energy, water for maintenance of the plant, everywhere. Which of the following are some important pollutants released by steel industry? Now when we do that recording, ये आपको आने की जरूरत नहीं है अभी. जब मैं recording करूंगा आपके साथ, I will teach you some highly polluting industries in India. Highly polluting industries का मतलब कि यार केमिकल प्लांट्स कौन कौन से होते हैं, जैसे थर्मल पावर प्लांट्स होते हैं, कॉपर प्लांट से क्या रिलीज होता है, स्टील प्लांट से क्या रिलीज होता है. तो यू विल सी क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस. रिफाइनरी में क्या रिलीज होता है, यू विल सी क्वेश्चंस लाइक दिस जनरली कम. तो वहां थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना. अब इन द सिटीज ऑफ आवर कंट्री विच इज कंसिडर्ड इन कैलकुलेटिंग द वैल्यू ऑफ एयर क्वालिटी इंडेक्स, ठीक है, अगेन वी हैव टू सी AQI. इफ यू रेड द डॉक्यूमेंट येस्टरडे, आपने थोड़ा इनिशिएटिव लिया होता तो ये वहां से क्वेश्चन था. आई जस्ट वांटेड यू टू सी कि इस टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, राइट? सो इट्स फाइन, वी विल डू इट. You see the recording, it will be there. तो ठीक है. Again, something we have to do, BOD we have to do. This is in water pollution. I just want you to see this question कि हाँ यार ये पूछा जाता है. अब solving pollution problems, bioremediation. Have I told you bioremediation in science and tech? I have, right? मैंने आपको साइंस एंड टेक में बताया है ना. Right. Phytoremediation also I have told you, using eucalyptus. Cleaning up pollution by enhancing the same biodegradation process that occurs in nature. Possibly natural process use करते हैं, we are enhancing the same process. ठीक है, you can get confused in this option, granted. Second पढ़ते हैं. Any contaminant with heavy metal such as cadmium and lead can be readily and completely treated by bioremediation. ये तो नहीं होगा, आप सेकंड एलिमिनेट कर लो बस. फर्स्ट तो पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग कैन बी यूजफुल टू क्रिएट माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स स्पेसिफिकली डिजाइंड फॉर बायोरेमिडिएशन. ऑफ कोर्स दे कैन बी, राइट? सो दिस इज करेक्ट. 1 and 3 इज द आंसर. अब एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट. This is something you did not need to know because these rules we have to do. Again, I just wanted you to look at the question. क्योंकि अभी क्या होगा मैं बताता हूँ. आपका मन होगा कि यार ये रिकॉर्डिंग लास्ट का पार्ट है, छोड़ देते हैं. जो वो पार्ट बचा है उससे भी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. सब्जेक्ट बड़ा है, हर पार्ट से क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. ये मैं सिर्फ आपको इसलिए दिखा रहा हूं ताकि आप वो एंड का पार्ट छोड़ो नहीं. अब solid waste management rules, again we're not discussing right now. I will show you these questions again after I've taught you everything. Just telling you कि जो पार्ट बचा है उससे भी क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. It is not something that you can just ignore. अब microbeads. In my opinion, again, this question is difficult to solve. Even after studying, it is difficult to solve. I am telling you, pollution may be questions that are about pollutants. कि यार ये pollutant का ये effect है. That pollutant based questions are very difficult to solve. So be careful. It would be better to leave this question. ठीक है. अब burning of crop or biomass residue. UPSC gave the answer 1, 2, 3 and 4. ठीक है. अब if you burn biomass residue, आप बायोमास को बर्न करो तो कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड निकलेगी, यस. मीथेन निकलेगी, यस. सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड निकलेगी, यस. ठीक है. ओजोन कैसे निकलेगी? इनडायरेक्टली, बट 1, 2 एंड 4 वाला कोई ऑप्शन भी नहीं है ना. देयर इज नो ऑप्शन ऑफ 1, 2 एंड 4, देयरफॉर यू गो फॉर ऑल ऑफ द अबव. अब ये देखो, अब हमने बेंजीन पढ़ लिया. फैक्टर्स फॉर एक्सपोजर टू बेंजीन. मुझे याद है ये टाइम, दिस इज व्हेन आई हैड स्टार्टेड प्रिपेयरिंग. ठीक है. तो 2020 का प्रीलिम्स हुआ था, अगेन इन अक्टूबर ऑफ 2020. मैं इंटर्नशिप कर रहा था, पेपर आया था, मुझे लगा यार चलो आंसर एक बार सॉल्व करके देखते हैं. तब आंसर की आने वाली थी, तो आंसर की तो अगले साल आती है, जैसे अभी 2025 के आंसर की आएगी. तो मेरा प्रीलिम्स आने वाला था, तो मुझे लगा यार एक बार लास्ट ईयर के आंसर की देखते हैं, एक बार खुद से सॉल्व करके लगते हैं. Every coaching institute in the country had marked this question as all of the above. ठीक है. क्योंकि तब AI तो था नहीं. आप रिसर्च करते तो बहुत मुश्किल था ढूंढना कि वार्निश्ड वुड फर्नीचर में बेंजीन होता या नहीं होता. एंड कैन यू रिमेंबर दिस? आंसर इज नो. मैं आपको अगेन बता रहा हूं, स्पेशली पॉल्यूटेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस. और ऐसा नहीं है कि उस साल कोई बेंजीन न्यूज में था तो बेंजीन आना चाहिए था, नहीं है ऐसा. Pollutant based questions are tough to solve. They are tough questions to solve. They are difficult questions to solve. They are difficult. ये हैं मुश्किल questions. ठीक है. So be careful. अब this question, for example, is very easy to solve. Coal ash contains these three things. Yes. Coal-fired power plants will release sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen. Absolutely. High ash content is there in Indian coal. Absolutely. Right? Answer is all of the above. Now, magnetite particles suspected to cause neurodegenerative problems are generated by environmental pollutants from which of the following? इस साल मैंने पेपर दिया था, सारे करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ के गया था, मैग्नेटाइट वाज नॉट मेंशन्ड. अब I was able to get this answer correct only because of a pure तुक्का. Why? I said कि अगर इनको लिखना ही था माइक्रोवेव ovens, तो ये विद इन होम लिखने की क्या जरूरत थी? इन्होंने सोचा होगा यार कोई ना कोई माइक्रोवेव तो होगा ही ना जिससे मैग्नेटाइट निकलता होगा, बट विद इन होम्स लिख देते हैं तो हम सेफ हो जाएंगे, इसको कोई गलत नहीं बोल पाएगा. Therefore, this must not be a source of magnetite pollution. Right? If you are placing something within homes, you will be very careful that you will not want to place a neurodegenerative product. Neurodegenerative is आपके brain की degeneration करा रहा है. But again, I'm telling you, this is maybe the 4th or 5th question when I'm showing you any pollutant-based question. UPSC generally has a habit of asking very weird questions here. So it is better to leave it than to regret with a negative marking. आप या तो सोच लो मैं सारे अटेम्प्ट करूंगा तो बात अलग है, but these questions are difficult to attempt because you will always think all of the above is a possibility and almost never all of the above is the answer. Just 1 second, guys. Yeah, sorry. So, magnetite as a neurodegenerative pollutant would not possibly be placed inside homes, but again, I'm telling you, pollutant-based questions, generally, they're going to be difficult. अब, why is there a concern about ये हम पढ़ेंगे. We will read polluting industries. अब आप कहोगे क्या इनसे कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड नहीं निकलता? मैं कहूंगा निकलता है. आप पढ़ लेना, कॉपर स्मेल्टिंग प्लांट से कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड निकलता है? बिल्कुल निकलता है. वर्ड हियर इज लीथल. कॉपर स्मेल्टिंग प्लांट से इतना कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड निकलता है कि लोग उसको ब्रीथ करके मर जाते हैं. पीपल डाई when you breathe the air of copper smelting plants. ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता, ये तो अलाउड नहीं हो सकता किसी भी तरह से. So this statement is wrong. But क्या कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड निकलता है? तो हाँ निकलता है. 2 and 3 is correct. But once you eliminate one, you get the answer. Again, I am telling you, pollutant-based questions are tough questions. And I want कि आप यहाँ से ज़्यादा सीखो. You should treat this as a pure learning exercise. This is a learning exercise. ठीक है? अब cause of acid rain, direct question, nothing wrong here. ठीक है? अब WHO air quality guidelines given in our document. आप air pollution के document में देखोगे तब भी होगा. But still, look at, even if you didn't know the first statement, look at the second one. Highest levels of ozone pollution occur during the periods of inclement weather. What is inclement weather? When there is rainfall. It's basically inclement weather is bad weather. Rainfall है या cloudy है. Actually, cloudy is more appropriate. Inclement weather is more of cloudy weather. When is ozone pollution happening? It's happening because there is photolysis. And this is the difference that UPSC has come to in 10 years. 10 साल पहले 2013 में वो क्या पूछ रहे हैं? यार ओजोन पोल्यूशन जो है ये क्यों होता है? ये सनलाइट की प्रेजेंस में होता है. एंड नाउ दे आर सेइंग highest levels of ozone pollution occur during periods of inclement weather. It is the same thing. But to just put it differently. It is just that you put it differently. Right? Same concept hai. You are just putting it differently. कि cloudy weather में, in cloudy weather, you would not have ozone formation. Ozone formation requires sunlight. Second, you eliminate. Now it is only down to question statement number 3. It is either 1, 3 and 4 or 1 and 4. Then PM10 can penetrate the lung barrier and enter into the bloodstream. तो आप कह रहे हो कि ऐसे ये नहीं है कि सिर्फ बड़ी ट्यूब में घुसेगा, वो ट्रैकिया में जाएगा. It would go into the lungs and then it would go into blood. PM10 हमने देखा था ये तो बड़ा है तो यहां पे अटक जाता है. So this is not right. You eliminate second, you eliminate third, you get the answer 1 and 4. I got this question correct in the exam, even though I have never read the WHO air quality guidelines. Again, it is all about applying your brain. So take your time and read pollution after some time. मैं तभी आपको कह रहा हूँ pollution एक break लेके पढ़ना, चाहे आप एक हफ्ते बाद पढ़ लो. हम एक हफ्ते बाद पढ़ लेंगे pollution. But pollution में दिमाग लगाने से question ठीक होते हैं. Pollution में वो generally tough questions पूछते हैं. अब steel slag can be material for which of the following? Don't need to read this question. We will do steel industry. But again, just telling you, lot of questions from there as well. Don't ignore it. Polyethylene terephthalate. In the news that year, it's called PET. When we read plastic pollution, we will see this. तो अभी अगर नहीं भी देखोगे, it's fine. ठीक है? But Look at statement number 2. Containers made of it can be used to store any alcoholic beverage. Articles made of it can be easily disposed of by incineration without causing greenhouse gas emissions. What is incineration? Incineration is burning. आपको ये तो समझ आ ही गया होगा that this is PET. जिसकी bottles पढ़ते हैं PET bottles. You would have understood that PET is there. Even though आपको नहीं समझ आ रहा, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं होगा जिसको आप बर्न कर लो और कोई ग्रीन हाउस गैस एमिशन ना हो. तो 4 तो आउट है. अब सेकंड देखो, एनी अल्कोहलिक बेवरेज इज द मोस्ट लाइक. अब वंस आप यू हैव एलिमिनेटेड 4, नाउ यू नो कि यार देखो थर्ड तो सही है. आपको सोचने का तरीका बता रहा हूं. आपने 4 एलिमिनेट किया कि यार 4 तो एलिमिनेटेड है. नाउ यू नो थर्ड इज करेक्ट. नाउ योर ब्रेन हैज टू डिसाइड आउट ऑफ 1 and 2, and yes, prelims at some point will come down to your decision making. Now you have to decide, यार 4 एलिमिनेट हो गया, थर्ड तो पक्का सही है, दोनों में है. Out of 1 and 2, one statement has to be correct. Now you are deciding on probability कि किसकी probability ज्यादा है. So one statement you read is fibers can be blended with wool and cotton fibers to reinforce properties. Second, you are reading कि it can store any alcoholic beverage. Which is likely now? Obviously, the first one is more likely. Ab, bio toilets. Right. Again, we will see this. We will see bio toilets in water pollution. So again, not solving this for you right now. We will look at it again. But the question is, this is also important. Ab. Now, ozone depleting substances, direct question, should not be a problem. Now, furnace oil. Again, this is a polluting industry which is called a refinery. Refinery से निकलता है furnace oil. यही पूछा गया इसमें. तो once you know it is a part of refinery, you'll be able to answer everything else also. But we will see this. So this question, I will not teach you this. This has never been asked again. But I'll show you some tactics that can be used in prelims. This should always be your last resort. Okay. पहली बात तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि पोर्टलैंड सीमेंट इज नॉर्मल सीमेंट. ये वही सीमेंट है जो हम नॉर्मली यूज करते हैं. ठीक है. अगर मैं आपसे कहता कि इन पांचों में से विच इज द मोस्ट लाइकली करेक्ट ऑप्शन, अगर ये नहीं देखते आप, छोड़ो इसको, नीचे वाले को छोड़ो, जस्ट लीव दिस असाइड. अगर आप ये सब नहीं देखते और अब सिर्फ आपसे इतना पूछा जाता, तो आपको मोस्ट लाइकली करेक्ट क्या लगता इन पांचों में से, जिसके नाम से ही एविडेंट है कि यार ये तो करेक्ट होगा ही. क्या लगता आपको इन पांचों में से कि यार ये तो पक्का ही करेक्ट है, बाकी बाद में देखेंगे. एक बताना है. एक वन जस्ट वन. कोई एक बताना है पांचों में से जिसका नाम देख के ही लग रहा है कि भाई ये तो सही होगा. देखो, आई डोंट नो अबाउट यू, मैं तो सोचता जियो टेक्सटाइल जरूर सही है. नाम से नहीं समझ आ रहा जियो टेक्सटाइल के, लग नहीं रहा जियो टेक्सटाइल के नाम से कि यार ये तो सही होगा ही. चलो एनीवे, अब थोड़ा सोचो. कोल्ड मिक्स एंड हॉट मिक्स एसफॉल्ट टेक्नोलॉजी आर ऑब्वियसली ऑपोजिट्स ऑफ ईच अदर. मतलब मुझे नहीं पता इन टेक्नोलॉजीज के बारे में, बट वन वुड हैव कम अर्लियर. या तो ऐसे होगा यार, पहले कोल्ड मिक्स टेक्नोलॉजी होती होगी, बाद में हॉट मिक्स टेक्नोलॉजी आने लगी, या पहले हॉट मिक्स होती होगी, बाद में कोल्ड मिक्स आने लगी. सो दे आर ऑपोजिट्स ऑफ ईच अदर. वन मस्ट नॉट बी गुड इनफ, दैट इज व्हाई द सेकंड वुड हैव बीन इन्वेंटेड. ऐसे ही होता है ना टेक्नोलॉजी में. सो बोथ ऑफ देम कैन नॉट बी करेक्ट. ठीक है. 5 इज नॉर्मल सीमेंट. नॉर्मल सीमेंट में तो कोई कार्बन फुटप्रिंट कम नहीं हो रहा भाई. नॉर्मल सीमेंट तो एक प्रॉब्लमैटिक चीज है. 5 must not be correct. तो मेरे रूल्स क्या हैं अभी तक मेरे दिमाग में? 3 is likely correct. I don't know. 1 is likely correct because slag means waste. तो कॉपर, स्लैग का तो पता आपको वेस्ट होता है. कॉपर स्मेल्टिंग से जो वेस्ट निकला अगर वो रोड में डाल दिया जाए तो बढ़िया रहेगा. ठीक है. 2 and 4 में मुझे क्या समझ आया है? बोथ कैन नॉट बी करेक्ट बट 1 मस्ट बी करेक्ट. दोनों में से कोई एक तो ठीक होगा. दोनों में से कोई एक तो ठीक होगा. एंड 5 इज मोस्ट नॉट करेक्ट. अब मैं ऑप्शन देखता हूं. मेरे को दिख रहा है 1 इज लाइकली, 3 इज लाइकली. आई कैन सी 2 and 4 टुगेदर तो नहीं हो सकता. मुझे ये भी दिख रहा है कि 5 तो नॉर्मल सीमेंट है यार, इसका चांस तो बहुत कम है. मुझे पता है 1 का चांस है, 3 का चांस है और 2 और 4 में से किसी एक का चांस है. दिस इज द ओनली ऑप्शन दैट फिट्स. समझ रहे हो क्या किया है मैंने? दिस टेक्निक इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट एंड इट इज ऑल लॉजिकल. यहां पे कोई एलिमिनेशन टेक्निक नहीं है, कोई एप्टीट्यूड नहीं है. इट इज अबाउट थिंकिंग लॉजिकली. सीसैट का क्वेश्चन था. ठीक है. इट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू लर्न टू थिंक लाइक दिस देन यू अब्सॉर्ब मोर कंटेंट. ऑफ कोर्स कंटेंट हैज इट्स रोल. अब ये चीजें पता है कब सीखनी चाहिए? मैं आपके साथ ही अभी बताना नहीं चाह रहा था. आई वॉज हेजिटेटिंग. व्हेन आई विल टीच यू दीज थिंग्स यू विल फील कि ये तो बहुत बढ़िया हो गया, तो मजे आ गए, अब पढ़ने की क्या जरूरत है. दिस शुड ओनली बी योर लास्ट रिजॉर्ट. दिस शुड बी लर्नड इन अप्रैल. दिस शुड नॉट बी लर्नड बिफोर दैट. This should be learned in April on UPSC papers. Because when you will now go and try this technique in a test series, be it Sarthi's test series, गलत हो जाएंगे क्योंकि वहां क्वेश्चन बनाए ही ऐसे जाते हैं कि आप ये टेक्निक ना लगा पाओ, है ना. So this should be learned in the months of April and May and I have big plans for you. Don't worry about it. ठीक है, मैंने प्लान कर रखा है अप्रैल में क्या करेंगे and that will be free for all. सबके लिए होगा वो. आप किसी कोर्स में हो नहीं हो doesn't matter. I'll do it on YouTube. राइट. अब आपको लगेगा सर यूट्यूब पे क्यों करते हो? कई बार ऐसे मेल्स कमेंट्स भी आते हैं कि सर यूट्यूब पे मत करो. यूट्यूब पे करना आपके लिए, और अगर आप सीरियस एस्पिरेंट हो ना, यू शुड आस्क मी टू डू एवरीथिंग ऑन यूट्यूब. कोई नहीं पढ़ता यूट्यूब से. यहाँ क्या है, लोगों के पास ऑब्लिगेशन है. सी, आई मीन इट्स अ फैक्ट दैट यू हैव पेड मनी टू बी हियर, सो इट इज एन ऑब्लिगेशन ऑन यू टू स्टडी. तभी जब लोग मेरे से कहते हैं सर टेलीग्राम पे लोग कोर्स आपका पायरेट होता है, लोग वहां से पढ़ लेते होंगे, कोई नहीं पढ़ता. Rarely you will see people studying seriously from there. Rarely. They can. लोगों में कोई गलती नहीं है. But you don't feel that obligation. Here you would feel that obligation. तो अगर आप सीरियस हो, खुद को लेके कमिटेड हो, तो आपको मुझे कहना चाहिए सर सब कुछ यूट्यूब पे करो. क्योंकि यूट्यूब पे सब क्या करेंगे, आधा घंटा देखेंगे, 10 मिनट देखेंगे, फिर बोलेंगे हाँ बढ़िया लग रहा है, बाद में देखूंगा. बाद नेवर कम्स. अगर आप सीरियस हो, आप टाइम पे यूट्यूब से एक्चुअली सीख सकते हो. दैट इज द बेस्ट प्लेस. सो आई विल डू इट. व्हाट आई थॉट आई विल डू इज, मतलब दिमाग में आ रही थी ये बात कि अप्रैल और मई में एक काम करेंगे कि भाई अप्रैल मई में मैं आपको 2-3 साल के पेपर या 5 साल के पेपर करके दिखा दूंगा. आई विल सॉल्व 5 पेपर्स विद यू. कि ऐसे 2021 का पेपर उठाया 2 घंटे में. आई एम टेलिंग यू कि यार ये क्वेश्चन था, ये ऐसे अटेम्प्ट करता मैं, मेरे दिमाग में ये चल रहा है, मेरे दिमाग में ये चल रहा है, एंड आई वोंट स्टडी बिफोर इट. मुझे नहीं याद आया तो नहीं आया, बट इट इज, आई विल टेल यू हाउ आई वुड सॉल्व द पेपर. आई वोंट स्टार्ट फ्रॉम क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. आई वुड टेल यू हाउ आई वुड फ्लिप द पेपर, हाउ आई वुड आइडेंटिफाई कि अच्छा यहाँ पर पॉलिटी है, यहाँ से स्टार्ट करते हैं, यहाँ से स्टार्ट करते हैं, ये करते हैं, ये करते हैं, एक्सेट्रा. That technique that you must apply in the exam hall, that is something I think you should learn with me in April and May. And I think that will be the most important thing that we can learn. Things like this. Things like this. When it is about decision making. Right? I hope that is okay. ठीक है, चलो आगे देखते हैं. acidification of oceans is increasing. Why is this a cause of concern? It will be a problem for calcareous phytoplankton. कोरल्स के साथ अटैच होते हैं, कोरल रीफ्स के लिए प्रॉब्लम होगी. Some animals that have phytoplanktonic larvae वो भी अफेक्ट होगा. और clouds. Why are clouds getting affected? Let's see if you remember. Why are clouds getting affected? क्या प्रॉब्लम है क्लाउड्स में? यहां पर DMS, dimethyl sulfur. We have read this. DMS, dimethyl sulfur. Adversely affected means that it will be lower. खराब हो जाएगा क्लाउड फॉर्मेशन, DMS से होगा, है ना. अब formation of ozone hole in the Antarctic region has been a cause of concern. Reason for ozone depletion at poles. We know it is polar stratospheric clouds. Simple. ठीक है. NGRBA पहले एक PYQ कर चुके हैं कि भाई इसका चेयरपर्सन कौन है. Now this body does not exist. Chairperson was Honorable Prime Minister. Read the third statement. One of the chief ministers of the states through which the Ganga flows becomes the chairman. So third option is out and this is the correct option. ठीक है. अब mercury pollution. Again, pollutant based questions are tough always. If I was to attempt this question, I'll tell you how I would think. ठीक है. पहले तो ऐसे क्वेश्चन देख के समझ जाओ कि किसी को नहीं आता है. I can give you this guarantee in science and tech and environment. If there is a question जिसके बारे में आपको हवा भी नहीं लग रही है, a question like this is even after I teach you that last remaining maybe 20-30 pages of pollution, even after I teach you those pages of pollution, you will not know about this question. We can't read every pollutant ना यार, कितने pollutant है दुनिया में, हम broadly cover कर सकते हैं. मान लो ऐसा क्वेश्चन है और आपको हवा भी नहीं लग रही है कि यार ये क्या हो गया, ऐसा ही है ना ये. ट्रस्ट मी, nobody knows that question. अगर आपको नहीं आता है, I can say with utmost confidence उस क्वेश्चन से कट ऑफ डिसाइड नहीं हो रही है. अब हमें देखना है कि क्या हम अपनी पेरिफेरल नॉलेज से उसको ठीक कर सकते हैं. आता किसी को नहीं है, ये बात अपने जहन में डाल लो कि अगर आपको ये दिख गया इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन, देयर इज नोबडी हु नोज दिस क्वेश्चन. इफ यू डोंट नो, नोबडी नोज. आपने बहुत पढ़ लिया एनवायरमेंट, ठीक है. प्लीज कीप दिस इन माइंड. अब ये क्वेश्चन देखते ही मुझे समझ आ रहा है कि यार, क्वेश्चन देखते ही मुझे समझ आ रहा है कि मुझे नहीं आता ये, मतलब मुझे नहीं आता, बट देयर इज प्रोबेबली nobody who knows this question. अब पढ़ते हैं. Gold mining activity is a source of mercury pollution in the world. My response to this would be yes, possibly. So it could be correct. Coal-based thermal power plant cause mercury pollution? Possibly, yes, they could. But I know this statement to be correct. Why do I know this statement to be correct? Why do I know this statement to be correct? ये सेकंड वाली मुझे करेक्ट क्यों लग रही है, बताओ. I know this to be correct because of fly ash. अरे आंसर doesn't matter यार. I know this to be correct because of fly ash. I'm just trying to teach you a concept. There is no known safe level of exposure to mercury. Ab. Again, I would say, if I don't know directly, I would say possibly this is correct also. Why? Earlier आपने वो BP apparatus देखे हैं? BP apparatus. उन BP apparatus में पहले मर्करी होता था, अब उनको रिप्लेस करके डिजिटल बना दिया गया. दैट मीन्स दैट वाज टू टॉक्सिक, बट दैट ऑल्सो मीन्स कि उन्हें समझ आया यार ये लेवल सेफ लेवल से ऊपर है, तो इसको रिप्लेस करो. पहले थर्मामीटर में भी मर्करी होता था, फिर अब डिजिटल थर्मामीटर आने लगे हैं. तो उन्हें लगा होगा ये सेफ लेवल है, इसके ऊपर, राइट। फिर मरकरी को यहां से भी हटाया, सो पॉसिबली देयर इज सम सेफ लेवल, possibly there is some safe level and it is above that safe level, इसके ऊपर था मरकरी थर्मोमीटर में, बीपी इंस्ट्रूमेंट में, उसको बैन कर दिया. But again, now almost all options is possibly wrong, possibly. Almost all options except for the second one, I am conjecturing, मैं सोच रहा हूं, मुझे नहीं पता. Now अगर जब मैं ये ऑप्शन देख लूंगा ये, तब मैं कहूंगा इसको स्किप कर दो. Because now there is no option, I need to know all of them to get the right answer. Even if I know one is correct, still does not give me anything, still leaves me with A, B and C. है ना? You get it? तो इस क्वेश्चन में मेरी अप्रोच होती है, हाँ ठीक है यार छोड़ देते हैं. That is the point. अब I think वो यहाँ आंसर गलत मार्क हो गया है. By the way, just to tell you, the answer is only 2. Right? There is a guideline for mercury. There is a guideline, तभी चीजें हटाई गई हैं. Right? अब according to Environmental Protection Agency, which one of the following is largest source of sulfur dioxide emissions? This should not be a problem. Coal-based power, coal-based power plant, सबसे ज्यादा coal यही यूज हो रहा है. Indian coal, low sulfur content but low calorific value, so high use of coal, should not be a problem. अब perfluoroalkyl and perfluoroalkyl substances, we'll read this also. We still have to read this, we'll read it. Okay, we'll come to this. So I'm just telling you that there are things which will be asked or which will be still covered. Now, what did you learn from this exercise? What was your learning? Question is, what did you learn from this exercise? क्या सीखा आपने? Firstly, pollutants will require effort. So let's take some gap and do them. Pollutants will require effort. Pollutants tough होते हैं. That's just a fact. आप देख लो the type of questions they are asking. ये सब याद करना possible नहीं है. Second, rather than covering content, revision matters more. तभी मैं कह रहा हूं मेरे साथ रिवाइज कर लो, मेरे साथ बैठ के एक्चुअली रिवाइज कर लो. You need to know things in a systematic manner. If you know them in a systematic manner, you'll be able to solve them. Right? Lastly, in environment, you have a certain edge. There is no doubt about it. अगर आपको क्वेश्चन नहीं आ रहा है तो किसी को नहीं आ रहा है, चाहे उसने कहीं से भी पढ़ा हो, उसे नहीं आ रहा है. ठीक है? Know this fact. If you don't know a question directly, nobody knows that question directly. Now it is more about your decision making skills, your ability to think, and your ability to apply yourself. We learned that in April. I've done 175 questions with you. Whenever you are revising these subjects, in these lectures, you don't need to look at the videos again, but do look at the parts of PYQs again. आप कहोगे तो I can do a YouTube session where I'm just solving PYQs with you. I can do that also. बाद वाले week में. When you look at PYQs, it is very important for you to see कि यार ये approach use करनी है. Because that also helps. Anyway, that being said and understood, let me tell you that all of you here, especially the ones who have stuck by till the end and are actually studying and working hard, you have a definite edge in the prelims. There is no doubt about it. You are currently in the month of February. You've completed science and tech, you've completed environment, and I'm assuming even your basic subjects are complete. 2 months for revision is a lot of time. So again, please do not deviate from your target. 31st March is the target. 31st March is the day when you can say with certainty that except for some current affairs, I will not read anything new. मैं बस करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ूंगा. जैन, फेब, मार्च, तो recent current affairs that also. It should not be कि यार 8 महीने के current affairs मेरे रहते हैं. Recent current affairs. Except for recent current affairs, maximum 3 months current affairs, you should say that yes, I have done everything else. That is the first target. Please stick to it. If you are able to achieve that in April and May, you will be sitting very pretty and you will get very good marks. In April and May, you will be very sorted, things will be very sorted, and you will get. Secondly, I am here. I'm not going anywhere. In April and May, I will take a lot of sessions with you guys to ensure you get through. मेरा बेस्ट एफर्ट रहेगा कि आप लोगों का प्री क्लियर हो. Right? I will give everything and I'll give my best to ensure that you get past prelims. Right? Of course, not everybody will be able to, but we'll put in our best foot together. And lastly, I would just like to thank you for being here, for attending both science and tech and environment with me so diligently, for spending your valuable time with me. I hope you have learned and I hope you have understood at least something about these subjects and you have gained some knowledge which you will be able to apply in your papers. Of course, these subjects are not easy to handle. These are subjects which required a lot of conceptual clarity, but you are heads and shoulders above your competition. I can tell you this in writing. Because we have understood everything conceptually. Maybe we started on 12th of January. It is not even the end of February. I am sure all of you would agree with me that in these 4 weeks, in these 2 subjects, your ability to look at questions and attempt them has increased exponentially. Right? I think आप सब लोग ये बात मानोगे? आप सब लोग ये बात मानोगे? Right? And I would just like to thank you actually for being here. It was always my this is just the last thing. It's just a note of gratitude to you because it was always my dream to teach. Honestly, अगर मैं आपको बताऊं, in the last 2 weeks, drafting and redrafting and then teaching and researching environment, there has not been a single day when I have slept for more than 4 hours. Not a single one. And that is why for a lot of days I did not come to the studio because it became immensely tiring. Even now I am running a huge sleep deficit, but it has all been worth it. I think we have one of the best documents in environment in the market that you guys have available to you. And for this, I would just like to thank these 2 people. One is Vanshaj and the other is Shubham. These 2 people are part of my team, and both of them have worked incredibly hard over the last few weeks, both in science and tech and in environment, to get the notes out to you. Vanshaj has appeared in the interview twice. Shubham has cleared 3 out of 3 prelims, so they are both brilliant people and they've worked really hard. And it is thanks to them and thanks to you that we've now come to a place where we probably have one of the best documents in environment. About might be a bit long, थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो सकता है, 300 पेज हो सकते हैं, but it is very well organized, very well structured. You have all the information, and we have not just read the document together. We have learned how to read the document. We have done all previous year questions, and we've also ensured that we learn things conceptually. We get an idea about those things and we've read them in a proper sequence. So जहां भी चीजें हैं, especially the complex things like acts of India, things like international conventions, we do have a state where we have a conceptual understanding of all these tough topics. Similarly, areas like nuclear fuel, areas like biofuel, we have a complex, it is a complex system, but we have a good understanding of these subjects. Similarly, for science and tech, throughout science and tech, the endeavor was to keep a focus on conceptual learning. And I hope now you'll be able to appreciate that conceptual learning से बढ़िया कुछ नहीं होता. This is how you are supposed to read any subject. It might take time. It might take time for you to study and for you to revise. And भगवान ना करे कि आपको इसके बाद कभी अटेम्प्ट देना पड़े. But अगर देना पड़ा या कभी आपको बाद में भी साइंस एंड टेक एनवायरनमेंट पढ़ना पड़ा, your foundation, your understanding of questions, your current affairs in the coming few days, and your application and understanding part is all sorted. That is what I set out to do when I started this course. This first time I taught this course was in 2023, and it's been 3 years. It doesn't feel like 3 years since then. I started my teaching career with it, but I can say that this year has probably been the best year of my delivery of this course. I would have liked to do everything from the studio, but maybe a lot of research was required, and that is why I was just running a huge sleep deficit. I was really tired, and उस वजह से यहाँ आना मुश्किल था. But other than that, I think this has probably been, out of the 3 years that I've taught this subject, probably been the best year in terms of delivery and in terms of the document, in terms of how things have gone out and how they have stuck to the schedule. Ultimately, I had set 12 classes for science and tech and 12 for environment. I'm very happy to report that we've actually done it in 23, not in 24, barring the 24th one, which I'm sure you will watch recorded and study from. Okay. But just thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to chase my dream of teaching, of researching, of studying more. I enjoy this. Every single day I do this. I go home with a happy heart that I'm able to do this, and I'm just hoping that I'm able to add value to your prep as well. So thank you for being here. I will see you in that recorded session. I will upload it probably by Sunday or Saturday. I also need a break for a few days. And on Sunday next, we will have a revision session, Sunday evening. Your IR classes will start from tomorrow at 4 p.m. And on Sunday next, I'll take one session with you for revision of environment. And after that, you can probably watch on your own time the recorded session as well. We will continue current affairs on each Monday. For the entirety of March, I think we'll be covering current affairs of science and tech and environment. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your time, and see you soon.